Hey y'all, Tara May here. I know it's been a little while since I've done a video. I've been seriously busy with work. You don't even want to know. Um, so yeah, but I thought I would put together a little Halloween video. Since it's that time of year, my favorite time of year, and I love horror. And I thought I would maybe bring you your attention to a couple titles you may not have realized that you could associate with Halloween. Also, just a movie that's a little rare. So first off, I'm going to show you Hack-O-Lantern. Now, you hear bad, cheesy movies, and this is a bad, cheesy movie. However, I happen to like bad, cheesy movies as long as they're, I don't know, a certain kind of bad cheesy. Does that make sense? Anyway, this particular movie has a man named High Pike who, he actually was in Blade Runner, small part, a bar scene I remember. And so, he's the grandfather, he's a Satanist, he's also a farmer. He has a pumpkin patch. I guess he raises his own goats to sacrifice, as you would. Um, and in this, he is trying to recruit his grandson, who's turning 18. It looks like a 40-year-old guy playing the 18-year-old, so it's totally funny. Their mother of first off, this boy, he has a sister. I guess it's a twin sister from the way they talk. They're both turning 18. He also has a younger brother who somehow, even though he's not even 18, is a deputy at the police station. So it centers around Halloween, centers around his birthday, and the mother, she's always kind of in the background lurking. She always seems so distraught, sad, depressed. There's a lot of really, kind of crazy things with the grandfather, for instance. Well, he kills her husband early on, the father of the kids and stuff like that, so that's something she can't get over. So at some point, someone is donning they call it a devil mask, but really it kind of looks sort of goat-ish. And they're killing the people that are kind of around the kids, the boyfriends, girlfriends, friends, stuff like that. Meanwhile, there's a huge Halloween party. The craziest Halloween party I've ever seen. They get a full nude stripper and a comedy routine in there. There's just crazy costumes, like a lady with a salad on her head, stuff like that. This movie, I would recommend finding other people who enjoy bad movies to watch this with you, because you just have a blast. At one point, we randomly, now this is in the rocksploitation category a little bit, we randomly get a rock scene with a band, DC La Croix, something like that, and they do this completely catchy song that runs through my head, The Devil's Son. And the lead guy, Tommy, there, he's kind of having, I don't know, fantasy nightmare type thing. It kind of has this in it. And he's like playing guitar and just rocking out with this big hair. It's completely bizarre. And this movie, you cannot take this movie seriously and still appreciate or enjoy it, but this movie is friggin' hilarious in a way. It does have some decent gore effects, nudity if that's what you're interested in. This here is the 2K restoration. It was a limited 30th anniversary edition, and I watched this just the other day. Had a blast. A film by Jag Mundra. I guess that's how you would pronounce his last name. It has a few, like the newly recorded audio commentary with producer Raj Malhotra, English language captions, isolated soundtrack option. The Powers in the Blood featurette featuring interviews with the stars Gregory Scott Cummings and Katina Garner, which I believe played the mother. Some rare public access interview featuring her and a couple of the others, including the director, and some behind the scenes photos and stuff like that. So you get a little bit with this. Now I picked mine up on Amazon. I believe they may no longer be carrying these though, but I also watched this full movie on YouTube, so look it up. It is a fun one to watch for Halloween. Completely Halloween, spirited. You've got jack-o'-lanterns, costume parties, and all kinds of things, and a funny little satanic ritual in a barn. So yeah, you will have a blast with that. Now, the next movie I would like to mention, in general, people just watch horror movies. They don't necessarily have to be Halloween themed when it comes to Halloween time. There's tons, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and those are synonymous with the holiday, with horror in general. But there's some movies that you would just watch because they're horror, because it's Halloween, and not realize that they actually do have a Halloween tie-in. So one I'd like to bring to your attention, some of you may know this, and this is Howling 2. I have the Arrow version here. And Howling 2, also Howling 2, Your Sister's a Werewolf, has Sybil Danning, and she's one of the the werewolves. This movie has a lot of interesting things. You've got Christopher Lee, and he's kind of hunting the werewolves in this film. It does kind of take on after the first film in the fact that it is supposed to be the brother or something like that of Dee Wallace's character in the first one. They do have a completely different actress in very small part. In fact, I'm even going to say the transformation was completely different for the, you know, how she sits in front of the camera at the end of well, I don't want to ruin if you haven't seen the first Howling movie. So, well, anyway, so they this sister there, she meets Christopher Lee at the funeral, and he's kind of all ominous. He's actually, well, I guess she's a sister-in-law. Maybe they're not married. I don't know. It's a little weird there. The brother, whatever. He approaches him and is trying to warn him that the sister kind of wanted herself dead or something like that because of something that happened. And so they're really curious about what he's on about, and they wind up trying to track down, you know, some stuff to do with what happened with her. In fact, the back just says, how do you follow up a film as iconic as Joe Dante's seminal werewolf epic, The Howling, with horror legend Christopher Lee and a leather-clad Sybil Danning? When a young journalist dies in violent circumstances, her brother soon learns, by way of mysterious Stefan Krosko, played by Christopher Lee, that his sister has succumbed to the werewolf curse. The pair resolve to travel to Transylvania to destroy werewolf queen Struba, played by Sybil Danning, and rid the world of lycanthropes once and for all. Now this was helmed by a French director, Philippe Mora, I believe he's French, and he did The Beast Within, Mad Dog Morin. He'd also go on to direct The Howling 3, The Marsupials. So, which leads you, you know, they don't get completely wiped out if there's other sequels. So, yeah. This one actually has some interesting scenes. I don't know where else you would find werewolf orgies. So yeah, there's that. And they're in picturesque Transylvania. How much more iconic horror can you get than the place where Dracula lived? And so they go out there. There's like a festival going on and stuff like that. And of course you get the great werewolf transformations and stuff. And just some crazy scenes where they're kind of, I guess, inducting people into their little clan or whatever. And they're trying to get to the mystery and take her out. And still be convinced that it's even real. I mean, who believes in werewolves, right? So, interestingly, and this was pointed out to me, but at the end in the credits, they completely just keep rolling the scene over and over of her ripping her top open. Apparently, she was very unhappy about that. I suppose she must have said this in an interview. She did not know they were going to keep replaying that scene, but it was pretty interesting the way that they did this movie. It does not match the tone whatsoever, the first movie. It is actually sort of an odd follow-up. However, it is completely amusing and fun. And if you kind of look at it a little independently and kind of forget about the first one a little bit when you watch it, you probably enjoy it a little more. Now, you might want to say, why would I say there's a Halloween reference? Well, at the very end, when it shows some things going on, you get some trick-or-treaters at the door and some little jack-o'-lanterns and things like that around the room. So there is a hint to Halloween at the very tail end of this movie. So it does actually tie into Halloween for real, which is pretty interesting. Although the rest of the movie doesn't really take place necessarily in October or fall or anything like that. So that would be an interesting one that y'all may want to check out. The Arrow one has a lot of great special features on it. Although Scream Factory, from what I understand, also has a really great edition for those of you who do not have region free or are in the States. However, you know, you get like the nice book with the Arrow one that's got the little stuff about it, the little pictures, you know, they get a writer to come in and talk about the movie. It's got the 2 discs. It's kind of upside down. With the great, that's the classic picture there. I don't know if any of y'all ever rented this as a kid, like I did. But the classic poster would have looked like this, with the lady with the really vibrant red fingernails, and that's what I remembered. I actually remembered that lady. She's not the lead. She's not even the lead werewolf, but she was sort of like a kind of out there lady that she's kind of fun to watch in an odd way. And then, of course, the special features on this: high definition, original mono audio, uncompressed, PCM, optional English subtitles, you know, audio commentary with director Philip A. Mora, audio commentary with composer Steve Parsons and editor Charles Bornstein. Man, Monkey, Wolf, an interview with Felipe Mora. Leading Man, an interview with actor Reb Brown, Queen of the Werewolves. An interview with actor Sybil Danning. A Monkey Phase. Interviews with special makeup effects artist Steve Johnson and Scott Wheeler. Behind the scenes footage, alternate opening and alternate ending. Theatrical trailer, still galleries, reversible sleeve, stuff like that. Talks about the artwork. But yes, I would definitely recommend giving that one a watch if you haven't. And if you have watched it, it's still a fun one to bring out at Halloween time, especially with that little nod right there at the end. Alright, and the last one that I'm going to bring up is also probably not that known of one. But this is actually C.H.U.D 2 by the C.H.U.D. And the Vestron Collector Series actually put this out. Now, I will start off by saying it is odd that they have the C.H.U.D creatures on the front, because if any of y'all have watched this, you will know that the C.H.U.Ds in this actually look more just like zombies. They don't look like the classic creatures from the first film. The tone, again, is completely different in this one, just like Howling 2, the tone was different. I'm going to say, and this one does what a lot of the later 80s films started doing in horror, and they really brought in an element of humor. So you have some kind of like hijinks type feel going on and stuff like that. It centers around this group of 3 high school students, and they kind of inadvertently bring back Bud the C.H.U.D, played by Garrett Graham, and he's completely hilarious. He gets a little bit of a crush on the teenage girl, which is kind of creepy, you know, but and so they're sort of trying to prevent this outbreak, because he's steadily just infecting everyone and kind of bringing them all back as zombies. And the whole thing takes place around Halloween time. Now, I actually, my boyfriend and I looked up on the Wikipedia list for Halloween movies and references and stuff, and I don't remember the Howling 2 being on there, but this movie definitely wasn't on there, and I think it's funny because the whole thing's like the Halloween dance. You got people in costumes. They go to the school at the Halloween dance, and so like the C.H.U.Ds, when they show up, everybody just, you know, they think they're in costume and stuff. They're actually, if you've ever seen the Cabin Fever 2 Spring Fever, the way that was a sequel, and the kind of feel, the kind of vibe you get, I actually almost get that kind of vibe off this, where they kind of put that humor in there. You got the teens and the stuff going on. You just get some kind of kooky things. There's like a little dog that becomes a C.H.U.D. I mean, it's like a poodle or something, I think. It is so hilarious. And it's really a fun movie. And if you really are a good fan of the first one, you may hate this movie, because it's not serious. It's not the same at all. And how it was even a sequel, it was almost more like they wanted to use that same title, so they just threw in a few scenes where they talked about C.H.U.D and called him C.H.U.D. But it's kind of a zombie movie, and they really, like I said, they don't even look the same. I don't know if you can see these little pictures on the back, but that's Garrett Graham in the middle. Some of you may recognize him. He was in Shopping Mall as the security guy that got kind of electrified. He plays the stepfather in Child's Play 2, or I should say foster father. He's been in a lot of things, especially pops up with Mary Warrenoff a lot, and in those kind of like Roger Corman type things and stuff like that, which again, she was in the beginning of that. And Paul Bartle's also a lot of times in the same kind of little things. And he doesn't often play that big of roles, but he did play a pretty good role in this, and I found him completely amusing. And the Vestron, you know, they really just kind of, they haven't been going long. This was actually number 5 of their releases, and I did find this for like $17.99 last year, I believe it was. Maybe not at Black Friday, but somewhere in that neighborhood. It's a good one. It doesn't have like a ton of special features or anything. However, it really looks cleaned up. It looks good. I don't know if any of y'all have like a lot of multi-pack DVDs. I happen to have this movie on a multi-pack DVD. A lot of the ones that were on those are the ones Vestron are tending to put out now. So I think that's pretty interesting. Anyway, it definitely centers around Halloween, so it's not on the list, I do not know. But if you're looking for something fun and a little different, and you don't mind humor mixed in with your horror, then I would definitely recommend these movies. And I definitely also, watching them with somebody makes them even more fun, in my opinion, because when you're seeing like the crazy bad stuff, you're like, you can kind of bounce that idea off, you know, oh my god, did you just see that? It's just fun to kind of crack up at it, you know, you don't have to take it completely seriously. So, I hope you enjoyed my picks this year. I know probably Last year I did a more extensive one and stuff like that, some definite more distinct titles. But yeah, that's the ones. Now I had a huge list this year, and this was just ones that happened to fall on or around it here and there. And some of them I was surprised, to find that they had the Halloween nod in it. So, of course, Hack-O-Lantern was a given would be Halloween, but yeah. So, there you have it, and I hope you enjoyed my video. Sorry it's been a while since I made one, y'all, but like I said, I've been kind of busy, and hopefully I'll bring you a few more. So, until next time, please have a good day.